Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode on SAP UI5 and Fiori training. In the last session in UI5, we talked about using component.js. In today's class, we will go ahead and discuss about how to use manifest.json with SAP UI5. So let's get started. I will connect to my web IDE quickly. And run the application which we created by far. So let me go to UI5 Fiori app. And this is our application what we have created by far. So in this application, now you see we are creating multiple views, which is the main app view. We have master view, we have detail view, we have an empty view. So multiple views objects you are creating statically as part of app.controller.js. Now instead of doing that, all of this will be getting created with the help of something called router concept. Okay, so router will take care of that. So let's get started and see how can we now go ahead and add context to the manifest.json. So manifest.json will include all the important properties regarding your application which we discussed in your last class. So it will be the main driver of entire functionality of application. So manifest.json is just used for declaration of these properties, but actual usage will be done by component.js. So component.js uses this manifest.json to read the properties, and then component.js is actually going to do everything for your application. So let's go ahead to the system. The first property here, you see the version. This is the version of manifest itself. Okay, SAP released different versions of manifest. The way manifest is written, you can see the latest version is 1.6.0 for manifest, which we can use. So this is just nothing but the version of manifest, the style in which manifest itself is written. So let's keep it 1.6.0. Now you may also have a doubt on about where can we see what are all the different versions of manifest JSON. So you can also go to SAP UI5 SDK to check that up. So let's go to SAP UI5 SDK to check these different versions. So I can go to documentation, and now here I say manifest. You can see descriptor. Okay, so components and descriptor application, and you can see here the versions. So there are up to now 1.11 versions used according to UI5 library, you see. So version 6 for manifest is used up to library greater than equals to 1.42. You can use manifest version 1.6.0, which is greater than 1.46 UI5 library. Yeah, this is the version of manifest JSON itself. Okay, so this is there in UI5 SDK. Now, what is the style in which you write the manifest JSON? So the style in which you write, there is a syntax for that. Let me see. Descriptor dependency library components, creating a descriptor file for existing app. And now you see here the complete descriptor file, comma. You see all the different things which we are going to write slowly are actually already part of here as part of this. And they've explained it pretty well. Yeah, you can see every section they have explained it here in UI5 SDK. UI5 SDK is the central source of all our learning, guys. If even I get stuck somewhere, I always go and take help from UI5 SDK. Here they write for almost everything. All the details will be available for us to review and look at. Now let's come back. That's a manifest version. Now here we have to give the ID. ID is nothing but the ID of your application. This is your namespace again. So I just say oft.fiori. Then the type of this is an application. It is not a plugin. It's an application. Then what is the title? The title of this, let me put curly braces. I will say app title. Why I put double curly braces? Double curly braces indicating that this app title is part of I18N. So let me also create an I18N folder. So it's a new folder, I18N. Inside this, I will create a new file called properties. And inside that, we will now put app title, this one. And let's declare this app title over here. This is the title of your Fiori application. So I say my fruit store. And I say app description, my app for managing fruit order. So this is our I18N file. Double curly braces here indicating in the manifest that something we are picking up from I18N. You don't have to put the model name here. You can just simply put double quote to indicate that it is will be picked from the I18N file. This is what it indicates. So let's take it up and put the description here. And now you see file path where the I18N is present. You see it's already written here. Typically it should be I18N/I18N.properties. Very good. Application version. What is the version of your application? 1.0.0. Here 1 is the main version, 0 is the subversion, and this last 0 indicates the patch. Let's say if you did a minor one line bug fix, then you will just increase the patch. When you give a support pack which has some new features, then you increase this subversion. And when you are delivering a completely new release of your app, then it becomes 2.0. Okay, guys, that's how you. So within a release, let's say with your release cycle is 1 year. So for 1 year, your first version will be 1. Any collection of changes you're delivering, that will increase the subversion. This is like support pack. And this is the bug fix. One small bug fix which you deliver, you increase the last part of it. Now tags. What is the tag? Tag indicates some search terms for this app. So what is somebody will search in Launchpad will can find this particular app. So there are a couple of keywords you can give. So I can say keyword 1, KW1. It's language dependent. So that's why we are creating it as like this, KW2. And these tag information you can then give in KW1 and KW2 here. Somebody is looking for fruit. Somebody if they're looking for store, they will find my app in the Launchpad. This is search term for the app. Okay. Now application component. This is actually your functional area in which you're developing. You're developing finance. You're developing for HR, PP, FICO. Which application are you developing it for? That is the application area. So I will say cross application CA. This is what typically we do. If you're developing, let's say for finance, so you can say finance account receivables. Like that, you can put the application component. The technology again is SAP UI5. My application supports both phone devices and desktops. And the theme which I support is SAP Blue Crystal. So I just put that. You can see. What is the icons? So now here you can give icon for your application for integration purpose. Suppose tomorrow you create a tile for this application in Fiori Launchpad. Then in that case, how will the icon be appearing, right? So this is what you can give different icons. So I can just currently choose any icon, all for desktop, phone, tablet and stuff like that. You can just choose it. And now here minimum version, you remember we are killing the dependency on index HTML. So earlier you were also having a bootstrap and UI5 version which should be minimum, it should work upon. That also you give it here. You will say my app will only work on minimum 1.44. If the version of UI5 framework is less than 1.44, my app won't work. So you're manifesting yourself. Your application is telling everybody in the world that this app was designed by keeping in mind that UI5 version should be minimum 1.44. Sometime in your SAP server, the version of SAP UI5 is less than 1.44. This app will not work. So this is what we will tell here in the minimum UI5 version. Now in the resources, you have to add the libraries. So if you have some external CSS file, JavaScript file to be added as a resource, you can add them. So you can see, you can give the URL here. So suppose I want to add an external CSS. So I can say style CSS / style CSS, and I can give some ID, my CSS. Click on OK. So CSS / style.css you can do. Let's go back and create a folder here. CSS. Here you can put your local styling. Ideally, it's not recommended by SAP, but still sometimes it's mandatory for you to go ahead and some manual style code. And this is why it can be helpful for you to give an external CSS reference. Yeah. Now dependencies. What are the dependencies we have? On libraries, on sap.ui.core library, we need again 1.44. We have another dependency on again another library, sap.m 1.44. All that we are putting it here, SAP UI layout library, 1.44. So likewise, you can put all the dependencies here. The theme which the content density which we support is compact and cozy. Both we support. So that's all. My first UI5 manifest is ready. Save this, and now guys, go to code editor. You will see the complete code is generated naturally for you. You see, in UI section, it puts the version, it puts the information about your application, technology, and everything. So let's put manifest version. It did not pick it up. 6.0. Okay. Now you can see here it has picked up technology, device types which it is supporting, themes which it is supporting in the first section. Second section we have again the version, where we have dependency on SAP UI5 framework, which libraries SAP UI5 framework are bare minimum for this application to work, to be loaded. Yeah, that is the second part. Third part is regarding your app section. In this now you see all the information about your application version, application namespace, application title, keyword, and stuff like that. So all these three sections are generated automatically. Automatically, guys. That is the beauty of SAP UI5.
So, Anubhav,
Yes, please.
this is nothing but the bootstrapping we are doing from index HTML to
Not just
manifest.json.
bootstrapping, everything regarding your app.
Yes, yes.
Everything what your app is supporting and not supporting. See, okay, let me take an example. I have 20 developers in my company. Okay. I have 20 developers. I have a very big team. 20 developers. Everybody developing the code in their own style. Okay. Everybody developed a Fury app in their own style. So there are 20 Fury apps which are developed. These developers plan together and leave my company. What will happen to my company? Will my company shut down if all of them leave together? If they have coded the Fury app in their own style, my company will shut down for sure. Because you never know where what code is written. They have to give an extensive code handover to new developers, to new team. Because this is the biggest problem. The problem is everybody coding their own style. I don't know where this guy has put the code for creating the view object, where this guy has put the code for creating view object, where this guy has put the code to creating view object, where this guy, what are all the dependencies this guy has created in the application, what are all the different themes which this guy is used in the application, what are all the different IETN files which this guy have used in the application, what are all the different models which this guy has used in the application. We don't know. We don't know. That's why we have standard. Standard is the way you can generalize the application development. Here, this is standard. Standard says when you are developing a Fiori app, you must have to put manifest JSON. So if a third person comes who knows UI5 framework, can immediately come to the UI5 application which you develop, go to manifest and find out what exactly is the app doing, what is the version app is required, what is the version of the current application itself, how many versions of the app itself was released, what are all the devices the app is supporting, what are all the themes app is supporting. Earlier this information was inside some view, some controller somewhere. You are centralizing all of it in the manifestation. So the moment you hand over this app, I even don't need handover. Recently, I took handover of 6 different Fiori application in my company. The developer come to me, Anubhav, would you like a handover session? Do you want me a KT plan? Do you want me to set up a meeting with you? I say not required. Just give me your app name. That's it. Why? Because it was developed with standard. And I can now go in their manifest and find out इसमें क्या मसाला है. पूरा जन्म पत्री है ये. This is the janam patri of the entire Fiori app. You all understand horoscope? It's a horoscope in entire Fiori app. Here, just by looking at it, I can tell the future of this app, I can tell the past of this app, I can tell the present of this app. This is what manifest.json is doing. Hope it is clear, everybody. It is not just
Yes.
bootstrapping, it is much more than that. You will see it in a minute. It will also take care of entire development of your application, entire set of
Correct.
models, entire set of things. I will just show you now next in the next part. So right now they are
So
more like
uh,
design
one more
properties.
one more question, Anubhav. Can you go to the descriptor editor
Yes.
and then in the downstairs, come little down, and in the technology you mentioned that means there are different kinds of technology that we can use.
Yes, so if you come here,
Yeah.
you can see WebDim Pro, NWBC, GUI, and URL. This is mainly used to provide descriptor for other technologies. Sometimes you see in the Launchpad, we also integrate a WebDim Pro app or a portal with the tile or a
Yes. Yes.
SAP GUI app as a web GUI or directly with the URL. So it is for that purpose to describe a manifest JSON. So there we just create a manifest. You have a WebDim Pro app to integrate with Launchpad, you need a manifest. Okay, only for that purpose. The web id is not used to develop WebDim Pro apps here. Web id cannot use to develop a SafeGUI app here. Okay, it's
Only to configure. That's it.
only for configuration purpose.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay,
But how, Anubhav, how do you know that we are having three different versions, right? So how you know the code which belongs to which version?
which version? I didn't get which version.
No, we have seen the versions, right? In
Okay,
the
there are different things. So this version, what you see, okay, this version is not required. I'll just remove it. So only two versions you have. One is the version of manifest itself. This is the manifest version, which SAP say that when you are writing this manifest, see guys, this manifest was developed over a period of time. Whom are we writing this manifest for? Our component JS. And if I just do a mistake, I can't use a property Anubhav here. I have to use properties which SAP defined for manifest. So over a period of time, SAP evolving this manifest. They are supporting new things as part of manifest. Okay, new things are getting added to manifest. So it did not happen first day when SAP released the first manifest concept. It was version 1.1.1 or 1.1.0. SAP had very few properties in manifest. Over a period of time, demand बढ़ती गई, more things used to come, and then it has become so big. Today we give lots of things using manifest. So there are different versions of such manifest, and that is depend on the UI5 version, how you support. So this is the underscore version is actually manifest version itself, which I also showed you when we started the class. If you remember, it tells you for which UI5 version, which manifest version you should use. See underscore version. Which UI5 version, which manifest version you should put. Okay, is that clear? This is the first version. Second version is your application version. Second version is your SAP UI5. Sorry, is this version. This is your application version. In this section, this version what you're putting is your application version. Okay. Same thing you're putting here. You can ignore these versions. We don't need it. Okay. You can ignore them. They're generated. Need it.
Anubhav, this is Murali.
Yes, please.
Anubhav, like, is it something similar to version management in ABAP, like retrieving the old version code? We can do the same thing here also, version management.
No, we cannot do that. In WebID, we don't have such a feature where you. So in ABAP, what happens? The moment you activate and lock it in a transport, it creates a new version. You release the transport, next time again you make a change and activate, it locks in another transport. So there we have CTS, transport management system, who takes care of ABAP version of the application. Here we don't have such concept, but to track it, we use it manual versioning. So what we do, we put some version here for the app, application version.
Yeah.
After putting this version, we put it in the ABAP system and release. Now it has reached quality system. So in quality system, if I have to check what is the version of my app, it's 1. Tomorrow you did a bug fix. After doing bug fix, come to manifest, do this like this, save it and release. Go to quality and check. This version will be incremented.
So what is the above version, Anubhav?
This version is, I think, again manifest subsection version. So each section has again another version which is describing manifest, the way the manifest section is written. So this is the main manifest version, and this is the, for this particular SAP app section, what is the version within this.
So we can remove that?
Yeah, we can remove it. Let's ignore it. It's creating confusion for all of you. I removed it. Only main thing is this manifest version and this version of your app. Only 2 versions right now you consider. Rest all you can ignore. Not required. Okay. Please let me move on, guys, so that we can.
Only one question.
Yes,
okay.
please.
So in the dependencies, we declare all those dependencies, right? So no need of declaring again in the controllers, or still we have to declare over there?
HTML you have to, because HTML is used for local testing. You have to declare in HTML because it is used for local testing. But
no, not in HTML. Controller files.
In controllers,
it's not required.
Need it. Controllers you will still need it. Why? Because it is the dependency on control, not on library. Controller always need dependency on controls, guys. It doesn't need SAP M. This is also one dependency, which is app level dependency, the library dependency. This is the control dependency. So controller, you must need it. See the difference. Did I put SAP M? Did I just put SAP M here? No, na. It is a control dependency. You must need it in the scaffolding. You must need the control dependency.
Yeah. The XML views you put it, right?
There also you need it, because that is for namespace concept. How will SAP know?
Yeah.
How will the control? You have to know that this control which you created is part of SAP M library. This also is.
Then what is the purpose of putting over there in the manifest?
The manifest is expressing to the whole world which libraries are used for your app. Tomorrow this guy leave the company. I developed an app, I leaving the company. How do you know which libraries are required for my app to run?
I will look into the XML.
Will you go to every view? Will you go to every view and note it down in a notebook? Which libraries are?
I'll put it in some other way. That means the work which index.html is doing till now, that we have replaced in manifest.json file. Means some part is doing the index.html part in the manifest.json file. That's what I asked earlier question.
Not exactly. Not exactly.
Yes, more than that. More than that. All the
is expressing to the whole world. See, guys, very easy thing to understand. Very, very easy thing. If everybody start developing their app in their own style, what will happen? It is unmanageable for any company. Unmanageable for every company. This is why we manifest. If I say, I have a Fiori app, can you take a handover? Don't you think you get a question which libraries you have used? Now, to find out those libraries, don't you think you have to go to every view and find out these libraries? Which library you have used? And what if you have 500 views? Will you go to each view and find out which libraries are used? Would you do that? No, na? That's why you have to put them in manifest. Another reason, once the library is loaded, it doesn't need to load again. So here it is just for the view purpose, for the namespace purpose you are giving the library. It doesn't mean load the library. It means use core namespace to indicate SAP UI core. Use MVC namespace to indicate MVC. Use default namespace to indicate SAPM. It doesn't mean load the library in the view. Loading of library is different than using of library. There are two parts. One is loading of library. How it works? The very first action which you have to do is the load. Okay. Load the library. Okay. The very first thing is load the libraries which you need. This you using manifest.json. Here you are telling which library I want. Load the libraries. And then again for a specific version which you would need. That is what manifest.json is doing actually. Second is use the library in XML view. For this purpose, you are using what? Namespace XML view. Third, use the control, one of the control dependency in controller. For this, we are using scaffolding. Put the module name. Is that clear, everybody? Nowadays, is it clear to all of you? Where is the confusion? Where is the confusion in this? It's very simple. First, you have to load the library. Which library to load? Manifest will tell. What is the version of each library you want to load? Manifest will tell. Second, you have to use it. In the view, how will your view know? The view, बिचारा view confuse हो जाएगा. उसको नहीं पता object header कहाँ ढूंढूं. So many libraries you loaded. So here in this case, manifest is taking care of some part which is bootstrapping. It is taking care of that part, something called bootstrapping. Which libraries are required for your app? Also, it is serving an important purpose of standardization. Tomorrow, if your app is not loading, you can come and check which are all the libraries developer has mentioned as dependencies here. Do I have a bug in my libraries? Do I have an issue in my libraries which developer mentioned? If yes, definitely app will not load because this app needs these libraries. Yeah. If you allow me to proceed, then only I can go ahead and write models and routes. Now let me go ahead and start writing here models. So by far we created model, right? We don't need to create model object anymore. Yes, you're right. We don't need to create itinerant. We don't need to create any JSON model anymore using code. So let's go back and I'm going to go to my paste controller. And did I create a model object? Where did I create it there? I think I created here. So let me see. Where did I create the model object? Here we created. You see, create fruit model and set it to the app level, right? We did this. Say bye-bye. I don't want to use you. I don't want to use any creating of. Now see, this is also big confusion. Many of you come and say, Anubhav, what is the best place? So today the challenges for developer. What are the challenges we have for a developer in UI5 development? So today a UI5 developer facing below challenges. And this is, I'm sure many of you have asked me, also many of you asked me and many of you have got this question in your mind. We have learned a lot in past couple of days. As a developer, you might have faced this question. You have asked your question by far, or you might have also asked me in the past, many of you. As a developer, we are unable to guess which is the right place where I create my view object, right? Which controller shall I put the code to create my view object? This was a question for many of you, right? हाँ रखो इस code को. Which is the right place where I put my model code? Which is the right controller where I put code to instantiate my local models like JSON, ITNet, right? I am wasting my time for getting the app object and then using it for navigation. Is there a better way? What is the standard form? What is the standard to follow designing a UI5 app so I do not get bad comments in my reviews, in my code reviews by experts? This is also one question you asked me. We are creating our root view object in component.js. We are creating root view object in component.js. Can there be an easy way? Is it right place to put root object? Yeah. The next important thing, I will show you another problem with our app. Back to the app. Where is our app? Here. See, I opened a particular page. So when I started my app, you remember it starts with an empty view, isn't it? It starts with an empty view. On the right side, there's an empty view, guys. On the left side, there's the data. When you selected the data, it loaded the items, right? When you selected the data, it loaded the items. Let me go back and correct my code just to enable this model again, because we disabled the model. That's why it is not working. Of course, there's a reason why I did that. We'll come to that. So now you see the data will load. When you click, it has got this. Now if I press this back button, what should happen? Or if I press this back button, what should happen? It should take me to the previous state of the app, which was loading an empty view. So this is the first state application loaded. The second state is when I click it, go here. Now if I say browser back button, what should happen, guys? When I say browser back, don't you think it should load empty view on the right? Don't you think it should load empty view on the right? That's what should happen when you press browser back. ऐसा नहीं होता है. See, it took me to my home page for the browser, which is Google. Bad, very bad. Anybody WebDin Pro developer, can you support the back and forward button in WebDin Pro? Browser back and forward button in WebDin Pro? No, impossible. If you have ever worked with WebDin Pro, you know that it never works. BSP technology or WebDin Pro, these are two web technologies of SAP. The back and forward button never works there. Browser back and forward button, I'm saying, they never work in WebDin Pro. But here we want to make it work. What do we do? So this is why, guys, we have a concept of manifest. Do you see a lot of valid questions here now? These are all the questions some of you have asked me in the past via email or via chat or via orally, or you might have had in your mind, isn't it? What is the answer of all these questions? It's the manifest, JSON. It is about standardization of your app, guys. It is nothing else. It is just about standardizing, expressing yourself to the whole world. Who am I? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do it? Just by looking at manifest of some developer, I can find complete. It's a Janam Patri. It's a horoscope of the entire app. Just by looking at manifest, you can find out. what this app is capable of doing, what this app, which libraries are dependent, which libraries, which other modules it is dependent. Yeah, all that you will know. Let's go ahead and now I'll comment out my model code. You will see it won't work when I comment out this model code. You always had a confusion where to write this model instantiation code, right guys? You all had confusion. Don't write it anywhere. Don't write it anywhere. Let's standardize this model development. Let's standardize the model creation. Now when I enter, it won't load anything, of course, because now my model doesn't exist. So now what I will do is I go back, watch out the magic, go to manifest, descriptor editor, go to models and add a new model. Name of the model is blank because I'm going to create it as a default model. Model source, let's keep it blank. And you can also check this set as an application default model. Okay, this is what you have to do. Select the type of the model as JSON model. So I want to create a default model of type JSON. Click on OK. You can see it has been created. What is the URL where the data is present? Data is present in the path called models slash mock data slash fruits JSON. So models slash mock data slash fruits dot JSON. Save it. Done. Done, guys. Watch out the magic of manifest JSON. Just don't forget to save it. Go to code editor. Come down. You will see another section got introduced here. This is indicating a blank means default model of type JSON. Settings is empty. URL to load the data is this and preload is false. What is preload? Preload means until this model is used, system won't load the model. Until this model is used, system won't load the file. Okay, system won't load the file from server. This is the way to avoid the delay. Avoid the delay. This is actually a lazy loading, called lazy loading, where until the data of the model is required, SAP UI5 framework won't load this file. Okay, this is called preload. It's false. Okay, so when the data is required in action, that time it will load. Anyway, let's go ahead, save it. The moment you come back and refresh, you will see, oops, it's not working. Something we are missing.
Anubhav, it is fruit.json actually, not fruits.
Okay,
Mock data slash fruit.json.
correct it, save it. And you see guys, when I clicking control save, it's not saving. So better use the save button. Sometimes in WebID it's a bug, you see. I'm pressing control S, it's not saving. It is a star here. This star is indicating you have unsaved changes. Remember, this is a tricky thing. And now say save. Let's come back and refresh. Still my data is not loading. Still it is not loading. Something is wrong. What is that something is wrong? URL is correct. Why it's not loading? Models slash mock data.
And Anubhav, at some places we give only till fruit, and some places we are getting till with extension. Like, what is the difference? Like earlier when we were coding, we were not giving the extension at many places of the only till the file name.
Please get me the example where we don't have it. Okay.
Like
Park your question
in the
last. It will confuse everybody. Soon, please park your question for the last. Let us continue with this. It will distract. Okay. Let us continue with this. Now, why it's not loading? As F12, it doesn't tell anything. F12 doesn't give me anything. Why it's not working? There's something we're missing. My model.js. Why it's not working? Let me remove the settings. So just remove it. Preload also I'll remove it. Type of the model is this. URL is this. Let me also check UI5 SDK. See if I'm doing anything wrong. Is this the right way for creating the model? Let me just go and check. So I can go to descriptor file existing app and now see how they created the model. Did they created some model here? You see data source. Okay, this is for OData model, not for JSON model. Are we missing something? Let me save and run it. For sure we are missing something. Because of that, it's not working. Let me re-execute the app from beginning. I just come back, reload it. No, still it is not working. Please mute your line. Whose line is this? There's some noise coming. Thank you. So type is SAP UI model. URI is this. Am I doing something wrong with URI? Let me check. I think we should also add the slash before this. Something we are missing for sure. Maybe its path is not correct. That's why it's not loading. Let me just check.
Anubhav sir,
Yes.
do we need to give the dependency of this manifest.json in component.json, component.js?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's the reason we created a manifest, guys, yet we have not plugged the manifest with component.js. Thank you so much for that. I missed that part completely. Thank you so much. Let's go and do that. Guys, we created manifest, but did we link it? No. Come to component.js, look at the metadata. Here we have to link our manifest. Manifest, just put this one and do a save. Let's come back and refresh. Still the data did not load. Why it did not load? Let me just quickly check. Inspect. Now at least the console error should come if it doesn't find the path properly. Yes, you see there is a problem coming now. It is plugged in. So there is problem with model path not found. And I know the reason. I added an extra slash before that, which is now causing an issue. Let's remove that. Yes. Save it. Come back and refresh the page. Let's see the error in the console. If something comes up, no, voila, you can see, guys, your model data is loaded. Congratulations, guys. Are you clear? Did we write any code to create the model? Did we write any code now to create the model? You see how much time you have saved in creating model object, and confusion which you had earlier where to create the model object. And now you see this code is irrelevant completely. The code which we have written in the app controller to get and set the model object, ye nahi chahiye. See, you save this code. You also save this piece of code. This is also no more required, right, guys? No more required. SAP UI5 is creating the model object automatically for you. You don't have to do that, and it is setting it as a default model for you automatically. Similarly, let's write I18N model. I will prefer writing it manually. I18N model. Now I'll say type, and then I'll say the type is sap.ui.model.resource model, and now I'll say URI and just put here the path I18 n slash I18 n dot properties. Save it. Now let us go ahead and put some text here just for dummy purpose, and I say some button text, or let's say list item, list TIT, title for the list, and I say fruits. Save this, and now I take this and let's go to the list control where it's in the view 1, and we are having a title over here for view 1, and I'm just going to change it with 18 and binding. That's it, guys. Now agar ye connect hua, we will get this title displayed at the top of the fruits available. So let us go ahead and test it. So now we did not write any JavaScript code to create I10N model, but system will now create this named model for us of type resource model from this path. Perfect, guys. That's what Manifest is doing. Hope you're getting this first time the flavor of Manifest, how powerful the Manifest concept is. And voila, you can see on the top, it has created an I10N model, and the label which I gave in I10N is now available on the top. Is that clear, everybody? What Manifest is capable of doing? This is the first actual use case I showed you for Manifest. It does everything automatically. It tells the UI5 framework, it expresses everything about your app. And UI5 framework is so smart, it takes care of everything. Not that all, you want to see more? So maybe let's go ahead and create router data. So we are right now creating our app object over here. So you can go back. Please park all your questions for a minute, guys. I will come to the questions in a minute. Now, you see we are creating our app object also in the component.js manually. This one you are doing, right? You can say bye-bye to this code. Let's take it up. Say bye-bye. Comment out the whole create content method. Done. We have done it. Now we have to give routing configuration. So let's go back to Manifest descriptor editor to begin with. Go to routing. You can give the view path where all my views are present. They are all present in oft.fiori namespace. What are the type of my views? Yeah, that you can give. And then you can give here the roots. You can give different roots here. Show more properties, view level, control aggregation. These are some properties right now not relevant for us. But right now let's go ahead. So this is my view path. This is my view types. All my views are of this type. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to define something called a root view. Okay. We are going to define something called a root view. So root view is nothing but the view which will get loaded at the first time. So I'll just save this till here. And now I go inside the descriptor code editor. And now where is my configuration defined? Typically it's defined in SAP UI5 section. You can see there's a routing part added here. In this routing part, there is a configuration added, which is telling which is the view path. It's all the views are present in the path called oft.fiori.view. Here only I have to give a configuration for my root view, guys. Okay. This is what we have to give. This is called root view configuration. If you want to see the documentation, you can always come and check here. See here, my root view. You can give the root view details as part of this configuration. You can see root view. How to give the root view, what is the purpose of root view. We all know the purpose of root view. So this is the root view configuration in SAP UI5 section you have to give. Here now we come, we give the root view, we give the view name. And I'll say my view name is app view. What is the path where the view is present? It is oft.fiori.view folder where my view is present. It is the type of my view, root view. It is XML. The properties which you were giving earlier, you are giving now over here. Is that clear, everybody? I think it's just name property, not view name. So this will now create the root view. But remember, mandatory thing is you have to have a routing configuration like this. At least a routing configuration must be there. This much part is mandatory. And now we are going to invoke superpower. That superpower is called router. Router will read this configuration and it will create the view object for you automatically. Yes, it will create the object of the view automatically. So what is router? I will slowly tell you all the purpose of router, slowly. Now, the first purpose of the router, what the router does. Router is an object, is a default object provided by SAP UI5 framework. which is responsible for creating all the view objects for us. It is also responsible for navigation, entire navigation concept in Fiori apps. Clear, everybody? Now don't get panic. We will see it line by line, step by step. The first thing, it is capable of creating view object, which means now the view object which you were creating earlier in Component.js manually, you don't have to do that. Now to use the router, we have to use 3 easy steps. First step, get the router object in Component.js from its base class. Second, initialize the router. Maintain the routing details and configuration inside manifest.json. Router will go and look forward for something called routing configuration as part of manifest.json. This is what router will do. Okay. In component in manifest.json, you have to do that. These 3 steps, easy steps, are there for router. So first step, get the router object from component from its base class. So let's go to the component.js, and in the init method, I'm going to get the router object. I'll say this dot o router. You can also create a local variable var o router equals to, I am going to now call my base class. So this dot get router. I got the router object. And now I just call the third step also here, initialize. Now guess what, guys? Router, the moment you say router, please initialize, it will go to manifest. This router will go to manifest. And this router will search for what? It will search for something called config. Routing config it will search for. So it is mandatory to have routing config maintained in order to work with the router. So it will go and directly search for this routing configuration and the root view configuration. And it finds this, reads this configuration, and then it creates the view objects for you. Isn't it amazing? Somebody is creating your view object. You don't have to create. The biggest drawback, the biggest challenge which you're facing, Anubhav, where to create my view object? I don't know. It's very confusing. I can't understand. Sometimes you're creating view object in app view. Sometimes you're creating in controller. Sometimes you're creating in some component. Sometimes you're creating in some other controller. This was biggest confusion for many of you. What is the right place to create view objects? Now you don't have to worry. The view objects can be created easily with the router. Absolutely zero coding for you, and this is standard way. With just by looking at this, any architect of your team can find out how many views you have. What is the navigation path of your views? Any architect, any other developer, you don't need a handover. If somebody is giving handover of a Fiori app to you, just go to the manifest and find out how many views they are creating an object for. Yeah, easy. Now let's go ahead and test it. So we have already given this basic routing configuration. Let us go and test. Usually we all know it doesn't work in first time. Let's see. I press enter. It should ideally load my split app. It's not loading. There is something wrong am I doing in the configuration. There is something wrong am I doing in configuration. Because of that, it's not loading. Maybe the important thing is we have to also add something called an empty routes. This is the part which I'm missing. So routing config, actually it should be added outside in the routing. Here it should be added. Okay, we have to add right now routes, which is empty. We need to put the type of the views. All the view types are XML views. Yeah. So this config is mandatory. We have to add that, and this config also we have to add it. Save it. Let's just check in the F12 if there is something interesting error which it is coming, which I have to look at and address. So let me just check console. See, view name, content, nor the XML node is given. So view name is not passed. It is looking forward for view name. So in the root view, I think I have done a mistake. I have just used a name property. It should be view name. Okay. I save it. Now I come back and refresh. So maybe minimize it, make it easy for us like a mobile like view. Refresh. No, it's still not working. There is something wrong. Let's press F12. Now I see there's an error. Failed to execute some request. File not found. App.view.xml it could not find. Why it could not find app.view.xml? I think it's because of the path. oft.fury.view folder, which is correct. So I have a view folder here, which is also correct, in which ideally it should have found my view, which is the root view I'm looking for. Why it is not loading my root view? So view name we have to give, type we have to give. That's all we have to give actually. Why it's not working? I think here we don't have to give the path exactly. This path is not required. We have to directly put the view name as complete path, guys. So this view name I have to put complete path for only for the root view. Other views it will be central path which will be taken from the config. That is the path I'm giving now, guys. Let me save it and test it. I can come back now. Some mistake and let's see what happens. I refresh. Voila! Can you see, guys? Amazing. Congratulations, your first router application is ready. Congratulations, guys. Our first root view is getting loaded with router object. That's the beauty of router. You see, we have removed our code from app controller for creating the from the component.js for creating the app view object. You remember earlier we were creating this object for app view ourselves, and now who is creating this view object? Who is creating your root view, your app view object? Who is creating your root view object? It is the router who is creating now. The router is creating your view object now. You don't have to create it. You just have to declare in manifest. There is a God. The God comes and God reads your properties. Okay. God comes and reads this property, and this God is creating. Who is this God? This God is router. This code is router. The router comes and read this property. It creates, it tells the UI5 framework, hey UI5 framework, please create an object of this particular view. Router will pass this information to UI5 and get the view object created for you. Is that clear, everybody? Now it's time for your question, but one by one. Don't jump in. Just one by one so that I can answer all of you properly. Otherwise, it will be more confusing for each one of you. Right now, we have not created object of view 1 and view 2 yet. In the next class, I will fill in this roots part and I will show you how to create other view objects. So right now, if you see, we are still having big problem. We're still doing this dirty coding. This is very dirty coding. We don't want this dirty coding. We want this part also. I want to say bye-bye to this code. And everything should be created with the router. Everything should be managed with the many-phase JSON. We don't want this to happen at all via the dirty code. We want it to with the configuration. This is what standard is. Guys, remember again and again in every session I repeat, my job is not to teach you the concept but also to teach you standard. Why we do certain things is just to follow standard. Just to follow standard, guys. Clear, everybody? Now time for your questions. Please ask one by one so that we can have a look into it. Hope you understood now after me completing this. One by one, please ask your questions. No questions?
Anubhav Prasoon here.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I have this confusion regarding the file path we give here. Like here we give view name as oft.theory.view.app, right?
Mm-hmm.
And before this, where we use that mock data, let's say JSON, right? So in the JSON, we directly give the path as like models slash mock data slash root. So there we didn't use this root folder oft.theory first thing, and there we were using the extension also. So like even in the controllers earlier, we were using only till the name, not the extension part of it, while calling the fragments, let's say. So there also till the fragment name we were giving, not the fragments.xml, that extension part. But today we were using extension also at one place, and then we were not using the oft.fury in the beginning. So that is little bit I'm getting confused where and which type of path we need to use.
Fundafox is the answer for all your questions. First question, in which case we use file extensions and the folder structure rather than namespace. So any references to the model which we need to give the folder path. Okay. Because here you're referencing a file, a static file you're referencing. Look at here. In case of model, we are referencing static file. Fruit.json is a static file. It's not a JavaScript file. It's a static file. I10n is a static file. That's why you don't have to say oft.fury. They are static files. Usually static files are used in case of models. That's the reason we have to give it. Okay. Point one. Point two. Whenever you are giving a dependency on a JavaScript file, okay. So when we refer to any SAP UI5 JavaScript file, we need to use namespace for path. That is what we have done here. JavaScript file or XML file actually. So when you're referring any project related MVC related files, JS or XML, you have to use namespace. Like in case of view dependencies, we have to use here oft.fury.view. This is a dependency on project. It's an app. App is an XML file. It's an XML view. Whenever you're referring something MVC related, you have to give dependency. So these files are not MVC related. They are static files. That's why no namespace. But this file is related to MVC. It's an app view XML. So this is why we put it. Similarly, if you go to controllers, you will observe that here we have used base controller. Base controller is again a project file .javascript file related to MVC. So that's why we have to put oft fury for making it as a dependency. Static files like model, like CSS, this gentleman is a static file. If you see in manifest, I reference the static file, and for that static file, I do not give oft fury complete thing. I've referenced this static file, see, without any OFT. But the moment you are using any MVC related stuff, you have to give. Second, sometime you said that we used extension, sometime we did not. It never happened. Never happened. You have wrong right now, wrong memory maybe where you have seen it. It never happened. You have to give dot JSON extension, dot properties or dot CSS. You have to give
No, no,
extension.
actually,
It is
yeah.
mandatory.
Actually, I was
Let me go
confused
and
with
show you.
the MVC files. Actually, I was confused with the MVC files. In the MVC file, we don't give the
Yes, in the
extension,
MVC
only the
file we
name,
don't
right?
give MVC file, but wherever we referenced ever any fruit JSON which we
Clear
use
now,
under the
Anubhav.
model,
Thank you.
you can see we have referenced dot
Anubhav,
JSON here. One second. Hope these two Fundafoxes are clear to everybody, not just to Prasoon. These doubts are very genuine doubts, very good doubts, very quality doubts, and it can come to anybody. Okay, and this is the problem where SAP UI5 SDK doesn't give these kind of Fundafoxes. That's why we have to take training. Okay.
Yeah,
Next
it was kind of I was mugging it. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you so
now
much.
with Fundafox it is clear, right?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay. Next, please.
Okay, Anubhav, actually my doubt is something, actually I was doing my practice, Anubhav. So I'm getting very much stuck in the debugging, Anubhav. For example, when I'm using the search field, okay, whenever I'm typing anything in my search button, my data is not loading, Anubhav. But when I cross check my code with your code, I feel everything is fine. So can you just give me some
Okay,
suggestions
we'll
how
check
to
that up.
debug?
We'll check that up. At the end, we'll check. Any other
Well, I
questions?
don't know because every time I do a practice, I stuck
Yeah, it
somewhere like
happens
this.
every time when we start with new technology. We don't have that confidence of getting the output. It happens. It happens with me. The other day, I started some, coding some machine learning algorithm, and I had this fear of my output not coming. And it happened so. It did not come. And then I left that topic. I I checked that topic next day morning, and it was suddenly started working. So that confidence
Yeah,
is still not there in all of us, which is absolutely fair. आपने कुछ गलत नहीं किया है, ये सबके साथ होता है, including me. It happens. There is nothing wrong with you, but remember one thing, Pratibha: never lose hope. Never lose. Stop practicing. You have to continue practicing. Let the output not come. But don't stop. If you stop and give up,
yeah.
you will never be able to learn. It's absolutely
No,
okay.
no,
It
I'm
happens
not
including
giving up.
me
But the
also.
thing is, like, actually, I don't have like anyone in my office to help me on this particular
Why you
subject
want
also.
anybody to be in your office to help you? You should help others.
No,
After you learn, you
uh,
should help others. This is what will happen.
yeah,
It is
that's,
very good news.
but
I would say you're lucky to have nobody in your office who knows Fiori, because the moment a project comes, your graph of career will be exponential growth. Your salary increase will be much, much higher as compared to your colleagues. The reason is you
uh,
are the only one. You are the only one. You are the only choice, which is good actually for you. Now let us go ahead and see this. But before I give presenter rights, I want to show you only one person seriously taking me. Only one person taking me serious, which is Murli. Only this guy, Murli, have sent me a result of yesterday's exercise. Nobody else. I don't know what happened to you guys, those who were regularly submitting exercise. Nobody come to me for this yesterday's exercise. Only one person, which is Murli, have come to me, taken this exercise seriously, and he's done an amazing job. You can see, just to show you how he has done. The exercise was to go ahead and create a reusable file, validated.js. In this, he has put his first check empty. He's passing the object of the control. He's checking if the value of the input field is empty. He's changing the value state and then returning me false. Else he's changing the value state to null and returning me true on validate button click. Let me run his application. So I come back. I can go to supplier data. He has a validate button. You see this name field. I'm keeping it as empty. I say validate. You see it turned red. Now enter some value, name, anything I like. I can enter. Thank you, Murli, for that. You're taking me seriously. And now I say validate. You see there's no red coming because it's going to this piece of code now. And in this piece of code, he has plugged in. Whenever we click on validate button, he has plugged in this piece of code. And now this validator.js becomes an important file for him. He will code all the validations centrally in this file and plug these validations to the validate button. I don't know what happened to other people, those who are submitting exercise. I don't know what happened. Only one person is taking me seriously. Okay, now going back to Pratibha, and I give you the presenter rights, and let's see. So I will just go back, and I'm giving presenter rights to you, Pratibha. Please share your screen. But I cannot hear you. Yes, please unmute.
I'm sorry. Actually, it was on a mute.
Mm-hmm.
So this is your one. Okay, this is mine. Okay, now I'll just close everything.
I'm not interested in my project. I'm interested in your project.
Yeah.
What
I'm
code is
showing you that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is my index.html. I'll just execute this.
Okay.
Okay.
पक्का कोई केस
Now if I
सेंसिटिव मिस्टेक किया है आपने? पक्का कोई केस सेंसिटिव
पता नहीं
मिस्टेक
हमको,
किया
पर
है? फिर
ये
से
हमेशा हो रहा है मेरे साथ, because actually
फिर
I'm
से
trying to practice everything from
okay,
the
let's see.
beginning.
That is natural.
Okay.
It will take some time, don't worry.
Now we'll
It will take
go
some
in
time.
this.
It's in the first
Okay,
view
not this
controller.
one.
First view controller it is. Search was in the
First.
first view controller,
Yeah.
yes. So here
And
we
here
have
if you
search.
go
One
on
second.
search,
Oh, event get parameter where the name property contains query string. Take it into array. Get the list object. Apply the filter. Beautiful. Why it is giving an
and
error?
this
Go
one
back.
is the
Okay, I understood. Go back. Your search is actually working. Go back please to the application. Apple
yeah.
सर्च कर रहे हो, A कैपिटल टाइप करना.
हाँ नहीं आ रहा है, मैंने वो भी ट्राई किया था, कुछ भी नहीं आ रहा है, मींस लाइक
Go
आई
back
डोंट
to web ID please. Okay, show me debugging. We'll see debugging. Press F12. Go to sources. See wrong defined filter parameter. It's giving an error already. No problem. Let's now here. See now here so many files
yeah.
are there. Yeah. How do you open your controller? One shortcut I'll tell you. Press Control O.
Control O.
हाँ, दबाओ.
O.
And now you see the list of objects which are present loaded in browser. Type here first controller.
That is
Yes. Yes, very good. See, you found out. Click on that. Just one click. It loaded. Come down. Go to the event handler method. Put up a breakpoint before. Yes. Now just go ahead and
then
start
again
typing on the top. Just put another P. Okay, perfect. It has come. Every key press it is coming actually, which is expected. Scroll down a little bit. Yes. Now you see you've got.
So here
You see. Oh, event.get parameter query parameter is empty. Yes, I know the reason. Anybody? मुझे मिल गया. Anyone? Can you tell me the problem? I told you this also in the class when I was teaching this example. For search button click, there is a query parameter. For live search event, there is no query parameter. It is called new value parameter. It's called new value parameter. अब मेरा code खोलिए. You told me that your code is same as my code. Now you open my code. Let's see what I have coded. Go to view one controller.
पर बहुत सारे अनुभव.
View one controller. No problem. I found out your mistake. Come down. Can you see line number 31? क्या same है code? It's a new value parameter जो आपको use करना था. You have used a query parameter. Query parameter gives you the query string in case of search button click. जब button पे click कर रहे हो तब देगा. When you're using live search event, new value is the right parameter which gives you the data. You said my code is same
So
as your
what you're saying, Anubhav, suppose now I'll just refresh my button, my app. Okay. And now here, if I do this,
right. And do click on search button. अभी देखिए. Now you press F10. You will see query string will be populated with data. A will come in that.
I think I have to press the button.
You have to press the button. First, this event was triggered. You can see SID. Can you see SID? In the debugging, SID is telling it's a live change event. Can you see SID?
Where? No. Where?
Can you see SID? Line number 22.
Yeah.
This is because of live change event. This is triggered. Let it go. It will trigger your search button event also. F8 कर दो इसको. ये नहीं चलेगा ये वाला part. F8 कर दो. अब search button दबाओ. अब दबाओ search button. Now you see. Can you see the SID? It is a search event now. Now इसको
Okay, so now I'll go to next.
Get query string A आ जाएगा. आ गया ना? अब चलेगा मस्त. Execute कर दो इसको. आ गया Apple.
Okay.
When you do things right. Output will come. Even God cannot stop your output, believe me. भगवान खुद धरती पे आ
Got
जाएंगे, आपका आउटपुट नहीं रोक पाएंगे. आउटपुट आएगा.
पर अनुभव जैसे आपने अभी बताया, so will we get some hints on debugging अनुभव? Because yesterday you won't believe I spent whole day like doing this only, but I was
Which is
not
good.
knowing means no.
Which is good. It's okay. You spend whole day. That's very good actually. You won't believe. You spend whole day. I spend whole nights with UI5 when I was learning UI5.
But this is also one of the reason Anubhav, because I'm lacking behind and means I'm not able to complete the exercises also because I'm still at the back end. If you
That's
see,
okay.
I'm still
Many of you
my
not able to complete the exercise. That doesn't change my point of view towards you. Don't worry. It's not like I will take special classes for the people who are doing exercises. I'm just telling you guys because some of the people, they have time but still they are lazy. They are not doing. On the other side, it doesn't change my perspective towards any one of you. You are all equal to me. Nothing like I will take now special classes for Murli because he has done one exercise. No, nothing like that. Don't feel that. If you are putting hard work from your end, you are giving your 200%, I am okay. I am happy. There is no complaint from my side towards you. Any one of you, you're all equal to me. I will never take a special class for anybody else who did exercise or not. There is nothing like meritorious student. Usually in school days, we used to see these different sections they used to split. All the meritorious student in one section and all the non-meritorious student in another section. And जब result आता था तो merit किसका आता था पता है? The non-meritorious section, one of the guy used to bring in the merit. One of the guys used to come on the top of the chart, and you won't believe it. All the meritorious student, however, all the meritorious student, however, used to look at कि उनका number नीचे आया है उससे. And then
okay,
all the
Anubhav, thanks
friends
a
of this
lot.
meritorious student used to think जब दोस्त पास हो जाता है तो बहुत तकलीफ होता है, लेकिन जब दोस्त फर्स्ट आ जाता है तो उससे ज्यादा तकलीफ होता है. The Three Idiot dialogue, if you remember. So it happens like that. So there's nothing like that. You have to practice. You have to listen to my class properly. And the best way to remember things is make notes. Watch the video, make notes. If you are doing it, believe me, you will remember it. आप notes नहीं बना रहे हो, I can tell you right away. You are not making notes in a notebook. Are you making it? Tell me honestly.
No, Anubhav.
That's
You're
what.
correct. Means
This
actually
is why it did
second
not
time
work
is
out.
this I'm making. Yeah.
If you watching
But
my
I'll take care,
video
Anubhav.
after the class and have a notebook, आपकी उंगलियों को याद हो जाएगा, उसके बाद कोई आपको output नहीं रोक सकता. You can see, you told me your code is same as my code, but you see it is not. In my code, I have an extra if condition. Go back to my code. I have extra if condition to handle that live change event.
Yeah.
This piece of code is extra.
That's right.
So you
But
can
thanks a lot, Anubhav, for you.
You can write in on your own style. Some people write in notebook, some people write in a notepad file, some people write in a Word file, some people write in the controller code itself. You can write commented code. You can do that. Absolutely no problem. Choice is yours. Everyone has their own style of learning. I don't interpret, I don't judge your style of learning. Maybe that is best fit for you. That is how your mind is functioned. That is how your mind is programmed to learn, which is okay. I can share my experience and my style of learning, how I learn. I write lots of notes. When I learn something new, I write lots of notes. I have a notebook. In that notebook, I write it. For every topic, I have a separate notebook. Web on HANA का अलग है, S4 HANA का अलग है, Launchpad का अलग है, WebID full stack अलग है, UI5 Fiori अलग है. And believe me, today I don't have to open that notebook. The first notebook which I created when I learned UI5 Fiori 4 years back, I now don't have to open that notebook because things were memorized. They are naturally printed in your mind. Only one time effort आपको करना है, उससे आपका hours and hours बचेगा. Think about it. You're saying you spent whole day yesterday, could not find solution. How many hours? 7 to 8 hours you were gone. These 2 hours, 3 hours, if you would have spent creating notes in a notebook, this problem wouldn't have come. This is the best practice. Again, from my side, choice is yours. You can decide your own best practice. Okay.
Anubhav will take care in this meeting.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much for bringing this on the table. It's
Yeah.
good. It's a lesson for everybody, not just for you. It's a lesson for everybody. Everybody then can think about it. They all can think about it. I want these kind of doubts to come in the class so everybody can learn, because we are right now in learning mode, guys. In learning mode, mistakes are allowed. Mistakes are allowed. But when you go to productive, it will be big problem. Yes, Venkatesh, what is your doubt? Please unmute your line. Pratibha, you can mute. What is your doubt, Venkatesh?
One second, Anmo. It's taking time. Hello.
Yeah, Venkatesh.
Yeah. Anubhav, the problem is, can I share screen?
Yes, you can, but looks like you're still driving.
Yeah, no. It's my office project. Can you stop recording this one?
Okay, Jason. Okay, you have to look at the UI5 version. How do you look at it? Open your UI5 app, press Control Alt Shift P. Control Alt Shift P. It will tell you the UI5 version of your app. It's 1.56.8. You can see. Now, according to this, go to UI5 SDK and check which version is supported. So go to UI5 SDK. Mine is 1.56 something. So just check 1.56 and above. This is the manifest you can use. Are you clear? Hitesh, does that answer your question? How to check UI5 version? Is that clear, Hitesh?
Anubhav, I believe we are on some other
I
other
think this
screen.
is Venkatesh's screen. Sorry. Let me share.
Yeah. Just I share.
And Venkatesh, could you mute, please?
I muted him. Okay. Now, hope you can see my screen. Go to UI5 app, put Control Alt Shift P, and now you can see it opens a pop-up. In that, you can see the UI5 version of your app. So check your app UI5 version. Accordingly, go to UI5 SDK, and now in UI5 SDK, see for 1.56 and above, use manifest version 1.11.0. Is that clear, Hitesh? Does that answer your question? So Control Alt Shift P is the shortcut to do that. Cool. So I'm out of time, Venkatesh. I'm so sorry to leave you in middle. In tomorrow's class, we will see your doubt. Maybe the Monday's class, we'll see your doubt. If you have it quite urgent, please drop me an email with details. Thank you so much. See you. Goodbye.